of New Chemist Network, a socially responsible business providing information, events, and advocacy for new chemists and networkers. With representatives in Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane, and Perth, New Chemist Network helps people live, work, and network in their own location. Sue is also a Victoria Counsellor for the Australian Human Resource Institute, a regular feature writer for various publications, and an independent LinkedIn specialist. Providing consultancy services to individual clients. Net expat, international training courses, seeking employment, and McFarlane Lane senior executive receiving outplacement. So you can connect to Sue via LinkedIn. Just search for her name for more information, and she will also be recording the session. So yes, I will be available as well. So please welcome Sue. Thank you.
Well, welcome to you all. How many are back from last year? Have I got a few recruits from last year? Excellent. Lovely to see you again. Thank you for joining this session. I guarantee you, even though it's after lunch, you are not going to be bored for 1 minute. I hope you are ready for lots and lots of information. After last year's conference, I ran a couple of seminars for the Victorian division of the CDAA, and I said, sorry, no questions till the end, because I've got to give you loads of information. And what I'm really trying to do is condense a year's worth of extra knowledge, techniques, advantages and stuff into this session. But I know that lots of you know me for LinkedIn, so I want to allow a little bit of time at the end for LinkedIn questions, but also if you want on Google+, other social media, whatever. So I can handle anything. I've got 2 kids, I can do it. Okay. So my background, I'm not even going to go into that, that's going to waste too much time, but basically I've been digital since 1987 when I got put in front of a computer. By the way, you can use your phones, use your laptops. I'm going to record this on the audio. I'm also recording it on the camera. It's all going to be on my website. So if you know someone who's missed today, they are going to have an opportunity to hear all this information themselves. So I went digital in 1987 when someone stuck me in front of a computer and said, off you go. I said, well, what do I do? I don't know. Well, we know, just do it. And so fortunately, after about the 6th request, they showed me how to do a few things. But basically, I've been using computers since then, and I had my first website online in 2001. So I've been in this space for quite some time. And if you look at someone's profile on URL, and that number on the top of the screen, that's your member number within LinkedIn. So I'm member number 77,832. So that way you can check, how long somebody's been on LinkedIn. Tip 1. Okay, so with the digital economy, basically 90% of jobs are not advertised now. And 70% of hiring managers are required as part of the recruitment process to do a Google search on you, and Facebook and other general reference checking, etc. Digital is perfect for an introverted person. And you might be thinking, what? Because if they have all their content online, people come to them. It's a pull strategy rather than a push strategy. So really important when you're working with clients who are a little bit introverted to help them publish this content so then people can come and find them. If I'm an employer, why would I want to sort through 300 applications? I'd rather go to a database and pick 3 candidates. It's a lot easier. And also, referrals drive business. The best employees we had at Westpac were friends and family of existing employees. And there's a real estate firm in Melbourne now that they've got jobs, they just advertise those jobs on their Facebook page. So if we think about that, it's referral-based job search. And what happens is, if you hear about me, what's the first thing you're going to do? No matter how good your relationship is with that friend or trusted advisor, you're going to put my name into Google and you're going to check me out. And if that image on Google is as good as what the friend says, then you'll contact me. But if it's not, you're not going to do it. So with all those referrals driving business, I hear so many people say, I've got a referral-driven business. Yeah, but how many clients or potential clients did you lose because when they looked at your online profile, it was, a version of the dodo bird, just not there, okay? One tool is never a silver bullet. So although I love LinkedIn, I don't just use LinkedIn, I use a whole bunch of stuff. And I always say to anybody who's having difficulty finding work, networking, referrals, voluntary work, the 3 main ways to find work. Also, if you are going to get into the digital landscape, you need to do what you can manage. So a lot of you probably don't have much of an online presence apart from your profile page on the CDAA website. Does it have a nice photo? Does it include the type of description of the ideal clients that you work with? Does it talk about your specialties? Does it link to your website? Does it have your phone number? Yes, but is it the right phone number? Is it written in international format so when they look at it on their mobile phone they can press it? Does it have your LinkedIn URL? You know, like, why isn't all that information on your CDAA profile as a minimum? I've got a representative in Sydney and she started profiling her CDAA membership, and she's actually found that she gets more clients because she is a member of the CDAA, and people feel more comfortable talking about their career with somebody who's a professional member of something than somebody who's not. So the more you guys promote yourselves, the better. And last year we did this little exercise on LinkedIn where I looked up Career Counsellor Adelaide, and not one person who was in the room came up in search results, because you guys all call yourself career development practitioners, and of course the general public hasn't got a clue what a career development practitioner is. So now when I type Career Counsellor Adelaide, there's a whole bunch of them. It's funny about that, because, you know, that's obviously what, you know, people are looking for, and you need to think about those keywords. There'll be more on that in a minute. But also, if you are going to go down this path, don't throw your hands in the air and say, oh, I don't understand it, I'll just pay someone. You are going to waste a lot of money. You have to have a basic knowledge of digital to be able to employ someone to do something for you. Don't give away the keys to the mansion. Oh, that's gone too. Okay. So digital trends, up to 20% of jobs. This statistic I got from Coles. They had 121 HR jobs that they filled in the last 12 months. And would you believe it, 20% of those were jobs that they created because they found the talent first. So you think about it, you as an individual are now a value proposition yourself, or your clients are. New terminology will also exclude capable talent. So one of the expressions I use is when I first started going to seminars on websites, they kept talking about websites being usable and having accessibility for people with disabilities. So now the keywords have changed. It's user experience, user design, UX, CX, customer design, and all of those words are the new terminology. But if you're still using the old terminology for that person's profile or their resume, they're not going to come up in search results. But if the person who's searching for them is still using the word usability, accessibility, whatever, then you need to have those words in there too. Most jobs now will require some level of digital literacy, even if it's just checking emails and having a mobile phone. So you all need to get with the program, I guess. And more transferable skills need to be explained. So I did a presentation to Holden, and there was a guy there, really smart, grip test engineer. Does anyone in the room know what a grip test engineer is? No, okay, didn't think so. So if he puts on his profile or his resume, whatever he's sending out, he's a grip test engineer, nobody knows what the heck that is. But if he explains, he's able to measure whether the car's going to roll over or not. That's one smart engineer. Because you think about it, tyres, brakes, suspension, road conditions, weight of the vehicle, aerodynamics, idiot behind the wheel. You know, there's an awful lot of variables that engineer is going to have to be across to actually convey and do their job. So what else could that be suitable for? Okay, boats, aeroplanes, you know, all those skills completely transferable to other things. But if he didn't describe it, if you don't tell, how can you sell? That data has to be there, otherwise the person's not going to be able to see it. And if you do end up looking at my LinkedIn profile, you'll think, oh my God, you know, this is War and Peace. But it's there for a purpose. It's designed to attract the people that I want to work with, and it does do that. But even if you do read it, it still makes sense. It's not just full of jargon to make me come up in search results. And digital techniques require some level of digital capability. You don't have to learn it all in the next 5 minutes. I teach at the Centre for Adult Education in Melbourne, iPhone for seniors, introduction to personal computers and the internet, and how to build a simple WordPress website. So I'm working from everybody who can't use a mouse to some guy who's been in technology for 20 years. And I have to make my presentation suit the whole audience. So don't assume just because you haven't done a lot of stuff digitally, you don't know what you're talking about. I actually find it's much easier to teach somebody who's wise how to go digital than it is to have a 20-year-old digital person be wise. Remember that. Okay, so I want to talk about the different people in this audience. So some of you are private practitioners, some of you are in-house practitioners, some of you are obviously working for clients, and then some of you would, potentially be working for employers or, thinking about the employer's brand, or if you've got your own business, your own brand online. And when I was preparing this presentation and I Googled practitioner, looking for an image on Google, this is what I found, picture of a doctor, right? Now, I think that's actually a really cool thing because I trust a doctor. And I go to a doctor because I know that if I go to a doctor, he's going to give me good, well-qualified advice. So if you think about it, you need to be presenting yourself just as professionally with just the same amount of status, trust, reliability, authenticity, research background, everything for yourself. Is there anybody who doesn't fit one of these categories in the room? Okay, I can keep going. Cool. So this entrepreneur called James Tuckerman has done heaps of stuff in the entrepreneur space, and he told me there's 3 types of clients. First one, they're never going to pay. You know those people who ring up and they spend 45 minutes asking you a million questions. Would you like to make a point? Oh, can you just answer me this and can you just answer me that and blah, blah, blah. They're never going to pay you. Now, what I do with those people now is I say, look, there's heaps of free information on my website. Have a look at that, and if you're interested, give me a call. Takes about a minute. Also, my LinkedIn profile states very clearly I offer professional services. It's 2 sessions of 2 hours for $460. Now, I'm quite sure that most of the people in this room charge more than that, and as you should. But a lot of my clients are new to Australia and they don't even want to spend that. And I've got really low overheads. So I figured, okay, fair trade. But it's written there. So by writing those details on my LinkedIn profile, I'm eliminating those tire kickers. So now I don't even get the phone call or the email or the message via LinkedIn. Can you please just check my resume? No, all gone, because my message is really clear. The second one are the people I like to work with, because I'm a trainer. So I want to help somebody do it. I want to empower them. I want to give them the skills. I say the skills to do a job are different to the skills to get a job. So I'm teaching you the skills to get a job. So they're prepared to pay, but I make it very clear you're going to have heaps of homework, and if you don't do your homework, you've wasted your money. I'm going to say it as clearly and as succinctly as that. Particularly with people who are reluctant, you've got to make this sense of accountability. I expect you to do this within 2 weeks. If it takes longer than that, I found my clients don't get the results they want. You have to be very explicit and say these sorts of things. And then there's another sort of client, they say, oh look, Sue, can you just do it? I'm sorry, I don't want to work with those. Now some of you might be resume writers and you're happy to do that, and that's fine, but I don't want to. But if I do end up doing it, and I did do it with one client, she didn't have a resume at all, we sat down and said, what did you do next? Type, and what after that, type. But I made her go through the process with me, and she was incredibly empowered after that experience of doing it with me. So, for a start, you can charge them more. But secondly, it does make it happen, and the person who is most interested in a person's success is them, not you, even though you're being paid for it and you're a really lovely person. So they should take the ownership. Okay, so I would like to, originally what I talked about was purpose. But now I've learned it's more important that we define purpose more clearly. And this digital framework can be used for LinkedIn or your website or your other social media or anything in the digital space. And you have to start with thinking about your primary keywords and your secondary keywords. So your primary keywords are obviously going to be around career, but then there's going to be a whole bunch of other ones. So depending on, you might specialise in women returning to the workforce, or people who've been outplaced. They're going to, in your instance, your primary keywords could be very different to the career professional sitting right next to you. And then you'll have additional secondary keywords. So you might specialise in defence forces, or consulting, or business, or something or other else, or schools, or students. So then they can be your secondary keywords. Or if you only do stuff for high school students and careers, then you just, bring those two together. But you need to really be clear what are your primary keywords and what are your secondary keywords. So I always start with that as the top of my diagram, and then I draw two arrows down and I say that you've got to think of the computer experience and you've got to think of the user experience. So if we think of somebody Googling something, it's the same thing with LinkedIn. It's just a dumb, stupid database with a whole bunch of mathematical equations making search results come up. And those equations are called algorithms. So it's nothing fancy. It's just, computer programs. So if you think about the computer, even if you paid for a premium account, but you didn't put the word career in there, you're not going to come up. It's just not going to happen. So you've got to think about your keywords. But then if you've written career once and somebody else has written career 24 times, obviously the person who's written career 24 times, the algorithm is going to say, well, that's more frequently than the person who wrote it once. So that must be a more accurate profile and something that's going to lead to something that's more reliable for my search query. But also, after you've got through the process of just putting your keywords in and putting them in frequently, you then need to be active. So if you've got a website and you've made it all beautiful, but then you never update it and you never add a blog article and you never change anything, how can you possibly expect that it's going to really go the next level and help you come up in search results? If you do those three things first, then you can pay for the add-ons. So if you pay for premium after you've done that, it's worthwhile. But if you don't do that first, there's no point paying for premium. I can also talk about the benefits of premium. I'm not paid by LinkedIn, by the way. Everything I offer is independent of them. And I'm going to be here for the rest of today and tonight, and I'm happy at any point for you to ask me any question, and I'll willingly give you exactly that advice I give paid clients. Now, after you've thought about the computer experience and you've tailored everything for the computer to find you, we now need to know, well, the person on the other end of the mouse or the finger is a person, the user experience. So what is their experience of your content wherever it's being published? And we need to think it's got to be a tailored message. Everything has to be congruent. What does your photo look like? When somebody looks at a profile, 20% of the time will be spent looking at your photo, and longer if it's a bad one. And I actually think the goal should be to spend less time on the photo and more time on the content. And photo, headline and summary are where the main message should be. But it must be easy to read, it must be consistent, it must be true, but our skill as career practitioners is to massage the message. And this morning in the break, I was talking to a lady who works with prisoners. There's a lot of massaging that goes on there. But it's still true. They're working in the kitchen. It's not XYZ prison, it's WCF something or another. So, there's all these options to massage a message, fill in the gaps in the resume. Went on sabbatical, travelled here, learned this, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, if we talk about LinkedIn specifically, it's jumped to 7 million members in Australia. Now, if you take out all the old people and all the babies, that's an awful lot of people. But I'd suggest probably 90% of them are crack profiles. But anyway, that's another argument. 350 million members worldwide, 2 new members per second. That's a lot of people. 50% earn more than $100,000 a year. So I'm guessing you guys want to be at least in that category. And growing groups include students, so I'm starting to do more presentations to university students and senior secondary school students, and also regional Australia. They really get the opportunity to put their name out to the world by being on something like LinkedIn. So I'm now going to sort of look at 3 different types or 4 different types and talk about what different things you're going to do for each. So LinkedIn, your strategy, after you've created your purpose, you've created it for the computer, you've created it for the user, now you need to think what techniques within LinkedIn am I going to use for myself, my clients, or the enterprise I work with. So that includes the schools or the universities, whatever. Are you going to use posts? Now I don't know whether you've noticed, but some people are posting all the time. And I've got a representative in Adelaide. He posts, says the same old garbage multiple times. He's got now 1,500 views per 90 days, but no conversions. So I would suggest if you're going to post, I try and do it once a month, but I publish, so I should. But if you did a post once every 3 months, or to begin with, on the 3 main topic areas that you're known for. That's a really cool thing, because if I'm referred to you and I look at your profile, that post is there all the time. So, and also if you come up in search results, not only will it bring up your name, headline, where you live, it also brings up your last 2 posts. So you get more screen real estate in search results if you've got 2 posts. So all of your clients, try and get them to write 2 decent posts, 300 words or more, and with headlines, calls to action, around their topics, backlinks, external links, all that sort of stuff. You can participate in groups. So obviously the CDAA group is fairly active, and thanks to certain members who dedicate and contribute to those groups, they exist. So they're a great tool for your professional development. So please try and support the people who contribute to those. You can follow companies. So for instance, if you wanted to work at the National Australia Bank and you started following them on LinkedIn, it's a much better chance you'll get a job there, because they love the people who already follow them. And also, you can use it for networking, so you can find people that you want to speak to, like Rebecca was talking about this morning, tracking down people in Italy at Ferrari. You can do an awful lot of research, so I quite often use it to look for content from Pulse, which is where all the posts are. I use it to find guest speakers, all sorts of stuff you can do research-wise. You can use it to find mentors for yourself or your clients. But also, this is another really important one, and that's relationship development. So the people you've met on your journey so far, and you will meet in the future, this is a way for you to keep in touch. And this is really important for those people who are nearing sort of the last 20 years of their career. Because if they've been working for somewhere for the last 30 years, and then, the factory closes down, how do they keep in touch? If somebody changes their email address, they've lost contact. But this way, they can say, oh, Bill's over there and Mary's over here, and oh, that's interesting. And it gets them, feeling like they're still part of something. So don't assume that just because you're, over 35, it's not worth it. There's this huge opportunity just to keep in touch with your friends and so on. Now, in terms of measurement, I think you should aim, if you're on the job market, it should be at least 100 views per 90 days. Or if you're trying to use it to generate business for your own practice, or if you're wanting to be seen as a good quality counsellor within your network of, people that you should be getting 100 or more views per 90 days. Now, if you got 1 view and you got exactly what you wanted, well, then that's okay. But obviously, you've got a better chance of securing it if you're getting 100 views. You also need to have, even for the starters, a minimum of 60 connections. A minimum, now I suggest, of 6 recommendations. There was an article, I don't know whether it's verified, but they say that people who have 6 recommendations or more are more likely to come up in search results. So go out there. And the other benefit of, if you write recommendations for people, guess what? Your name is on their profile. How cool is that for you? You get to be promoted every time somebody looks at their profile. Now, you would only say, I worked with, Vanessa and we did blah, blah, blah. You would only talk about what you did. But how cool would it be to have your profile on their profiles, promoting your services? You need at least the top 10 skills with about 20 or more endorsements next to each one. So if you're using all 50 and, one of them is Microsoft Word, do you really want to be known for Microsoft Word? I don't. So, take all the bad ones out. And if you want someone to specialise in something, it's the top 15 to 20. But the top 10 should really be where they're going next, even if they don't have the same number of votes for their top one. If you think I know something and you're connected to me, I'd like votes for the 3 top ones which are related to LinkedIn, nothing else, thanks. Okay, so management. Also, you can do for every contact you have. Now, if you're like me and you've got 6,500 of them, I'm not going to go backwards and do this. But what you can do is you can tag people within your LinkedIn settings under the relationship tab. And I always encourage people to have a tab called VIP. And for the really important people in their lives that they think, this is a person I want to keep a relationship going with, you tag them the VIP. And then you can also set a reminder to contact that person every 3 months or 6 months. And that will also help you keep those relationships going. But also, even just by being active on LinkedIn, it makes your face pop up every so often. So if you do find yourself connected to me and my face keeps popping up, really, I'm not a megalomaniac. I'm not deliberately trying to put myself in front of you. It's the algorithms that are doing that. But the same can work for you. So it's your own personal customer relationship management database. I recommend that it takes a minimum of 10 hours to complete it properly. So warn your clients, 10 hours. But you should never spend more than 15 minutes a week on it on a regular basis unless you're using it as part of your job, like you're in business development or something like that. Google+. The strategy here is all of you should be on Google+. You should all have a personal profile on there, and you need to have, if you're in your own practice, you need to have a personal page, which would just be your name. So mine is obviously called Sue Ellson. And then you would have another one, which is the name of your business. So my business is obviously Newcomers Network. So there's another page for that. You need to put links to everywhere you are online, because this is basically telling Google, I'm here, I'm there, I'm there, I'm there. So obviously, number one on that list, apart from your own website and your own LinkedIn profile, would be your CDAA profile page, because that's telling them. So then when I Google your name, your link to LinkedIn, your link to the CDAA, all of that stuff is going to show up in search results. So this is why Google Plus is so important. And this is why I say to people, don't just rely on LinkedIn. Google takes over everything, so you really need to at least have something on there. You can also fill out that you're a contributor to. So if you've published some content somewhere else, I publish on Open Forum, Tiny Buddha, Career Work-Life Group, Australian Business Women's Network, Yahoo Small Business, it's a whole bunch of different ones. So I've linked to all of those. So again, when somebody Googles my name, all these search results for those other websites come up because I've already told Google that's where I am. I'm not waiting for Google to find me. You can also set up something called Google Alerts. So if you have a Google Alert on your name, every time your name appears on the internet, you'll get a little email that says, you're now over here. So then you can sort of track how things are going with your social media. So every time I do something cool on Facebook, I get a little alert from Google that it was there. You can also obviously put posts on there, and you need to turn on your notifications so that if somebody does respond to your post, you can respond to them. And the absolute gold is Google reviews. Now, if you get your own business page and you get people writing reviews so that when people Google you, they see those reviews immediately, how cool is that? But not only if you get reviews, if you're in that person's circle and somebody's looking for a career person, guess who's going to come up? You, because you're a connection of theirs and you're in careers. Measurement. You can measure your performance by the number of reviews you get. I think I've got about 5. I appreciate all reviews. I respond to all reviews as well. So if you want to do that, you're most welcome to. The number of people you have in your circles, your increase in page 1 search results. If you Google your name and do a screenshot today, how you come up in search results, and then, log on to Google+, fill in all these details, and then do another search and see whether your results have changed, you'll be able to tell whether it's actually been worth your while. And of course, all this is free. Now, your web designer, if you've got a website, should also have given you access to Google Analytics, so you'll also be able to get them to tie this to your account, so everything is talking to the same place. So you can, in theory, just log into Google+, check out your analytics, check out your alerts, do your posts, all of it's going to be in the one spot. Access your YouTube account, and by now you're probably thinking, oh shit, do I have to do all of that? But you start with little bits, okay? In terms of management, you just have to decide how often you're going to post and how often, well, you obviously should engage if people do respond. If you can include an image 400 pixels wide each time you post, it will help the post much more. But the other thing is, if you do post on Google+, and somebody searches your name, your last post is going to appear on the right-hand side of the Google search results as well. So I'll show you that in a minute. I reckon it's only going to take you 3 hours to complete your profile, and that's being generous. And I reckon you need a maximum of 5 minutes a week. Is that manageable?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Your personal website. So I got SueEllson.com, and it took me nearly 12 months to get it in search results above LinkedIn. So does that tell you how good LinkedIn is? It takes time. All of your clients, if they ever think that they might ever go into consulting at some point in the future, should register their own domain name on their first appointment with you. Because if I've registered my kids' names, so they're going to have to pay me a lot of money if they want them back. But if I register SueEllson.com today, even if I don't publish any content on there for 10 years, when I do, Google sees it's 10 years old. So it automatically gives the person that credibility of 10 years of experience just because they've registered their domain name today. So if you haven't already, just go to crazydomains.com.au. I think it's like $20 for 2 years or something. I mean, we're not talking mega bucks here, but at least that way you get to keep your URL, and whenever you choose to publish, you can publish. It also, if you pay for extra options, you can get your own professional email address. If you're in business and you've still got @bigpom.com or @Hotmail, or even Gmail's not great, but slightly better, it doesn't look really professional. So by having your own domain name, getting your own hosting, you can have a proper email address. But what I really like to see people do is archive all of their work, because if you spend all your life on Facebook, post, who has that content? Facebook, not you. But if you publish content on your own website, you're in charge of it and you get to keep it forever. So all that stuff you publish elsewhere, put it back on your website, and I'll show you how I've done that on mine in a minute. Google does not like duplicate content, so you can't publish the article on the CDAA website and then put it over on that one and that one and that one. If it sees duplicate content, it takes them out of search results. You can also, as I do, I don't have time to send, like I go to a Twitter workshop and they say, oh, you should send 5 tweets a day. What? I'm lucky if I do 5 tweets a month. I just can't do it. So I treat social media as a broadcast tool, but always what I'm doing is I'm publishing on my own website wherever possible first, or where there's an audience. So if I know there's an audience on LinkedIn, I'll publish something relevant on LinkedIn to try and attract that target audience to my services. Okay, measurement. You can check out what's happening if you've got a newsletter subscription, how many subscribers you're getting to your newsletter. Not many people subscribe to newsletters anymore, but what I have noticed is if you've got one and they unsubscribe and you invite them to join you on LinkedIn, they usually say yes. So that way you can keep in touch with them. On Google Analytics, it will tell you whether somebody has found you by typing in sueellson.com or the name, Sue Ellson, or if they were looking for a keyword, LinkedIn Melbourne or something, okay? So you can track this and determine, how is your personal website going and what are the results, how are you performing under whatever keywords you're trying to target. Also the number of links to your website and also from your website. So, if the CDAA is linking to your website and other schools or institutions or anything like that, that's going to help. And also, if you start hearing from the media, can you talk to us on the radio today about, jobs for teenagers or something or another? You know that your website is working when you start getting calls from the media. And you also can tell by checking your Google Analytics. Now, your own website, for a lot of people, that's just too much to do in the beginning. And I suspect for a lot of you that's the case. So that's why I say fill out everything on LinkedIn, because that's going to give you the pro forma for the content you will eventually choose to have on your own website if that's what you want to do. But you do need to research, you need to plan, you need to prepare, you need to produce all that content before you go off to a web designer. And I also, when I teach the website course, is I talk to people about doing a competitor search to find out what the competitors are doing. So why reinvent the wheel? Check out what the other people are doing and replicate what you like. So that's why I've said it can take anywhere between 10 and 100 hours to get your own website up. Because if you do that planning properly, it'll be really quick. But if you just fiddle over here and fiddle over there and keep changing your mind 64 times, it could be 500 hours. That's the reality. But if you're really focused on what you want to do, it could be as little as 10. And you need to update it at least once a month. Now, your business website. So if you've decided I don't want to be known just as Sue Ellson, I want to be known as part of a collective of 20 careers advisors and we're all part of an outplacement firm, whatever, or even for the school, or the education facility that you work for, the business website or the enterprise website really needs to be a true reflection of that enterprise and targeted to the audience. So again, that concept of, do you put career counsellor or do you put career practitioner? You probably put both, but make sure you've got the target audience words in there. But also keep an archive of all the work that you've generated. Don't put duplicate content on there, and again, broadcast via social media. Your measurement will be in terms of how many subscribers you might get to your newsletter. So I obviously get new subscribers to Newcomers Network all the time because I run regular events. So that keeps adding people to my database. But again, you can measure whether it's direct entry, direct search results, or keyword search, and the number of links to and from, pick up by media or partners, you know, organisations that say we want to partner with you guys, we want you to work on this contract together, and Google Analytics. Again, same sort of stats on management for your business website. Whoops. Now, I'm going to showcase some of the little things on LinkedIn, Google Plus, and on a personal website. But I want you all to go home. This is your homework. This is my bossy school teacher coming out. Please do this, students. You need to showcase your CDAA membership on your LinkedIn profile. And that link tells you how to do it with all the steps. So, you know, be loud and proud about your practitioner status. Also, there's another link there of how you can showcase your company. So if you want a little logo to appear next to your name and your current job title, that's a company page. So to fill out the company page or to help your business that you're a part of improve their company profile on LinkedIn, follow that article. The next article I'm going to write is about how you can showcase your school, registered training organisation or university on LinkedIn. Because I'm doing some work with Monty St Angelo Mercy College in Sydney, and we've done some really great stuff with their profile online. So I'm going to show tips on that. So here's the bonus offer. So I told a few people, if you're going to do presentations, you need to get yourself organised. And there's this lady I met at a workshop, and she said, you should get everybody to send you a text message. And that way I can get your name, your email address, and if you put in that little code word, CDAA, I'll send you all this stuff. So I'll give you a free copy of the slides, the link to the audio and video recording, the LinkedIn profile guide, an invitation to connect to me on LinkedIn if we're not already. I'll let you know when my book comes out. A free ticket in the drawer for you or your client to win 1 hour of consulting, which we can do via Skype if you're not in Melbourne. And I'm also running a LinkedIn questions webinar, and I presume the audience is mostly from Western Australia. Is that right or not? Oh well, it's going to be late, folks. 7 o'clock Perth time, 9 o'clock Sydney, Melbourne. I guess it's 8:30 in Adelaide. Next week, Wednesday night, I think it is the 15th. Just join up at the LinkedIn Questions Hangout, and I'll answer more questions, any questions that you've got there. Now, I've also put in brackets and feedback. Now, so when you send your text message, you write some feedback on there about today's presentation. What I will do is I'll put your name and the link to your LinkedIn profile on my website. So that gives you a backlink to your LinkedIn profile. So anybody else who visits that website page in the future will have your name and clickable link so they can go off and check you out. So even when I run events, I say to people, well, I offer help on this, but if you don't like my style, not everybody likes the way I do things, I say go to the CDAA website and find a practitioner on there. So this is a way to get you a little bit more of a profile online, and when somebody Googles you, your name will pop up on my website, and then they'll know that you're at the conference. You can tell them you went to the conference, but this way you can prove it. Just another little way to get you into that digital mindset. All right, so you ready for me to do some demonstrating? Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So the first thing I would like to show you is what happens when you Google my name. So SueEllson.com comes up first, and I get 4.5 stars because I've got those Google reviews. How cool is that? And because I've got a Google Plus page on the right-hand side, you can see there's the 5 stars there, but also you can see, because I'm signed into Google at the moment, it gives you a little bit of a brand page as well. But what will happen if I was not signed into my Gmail account or my Google account at the time, you would also see the recent posts that I've done on the right-hand side. So it gives people a really quick snapshot of you and your profile online. And because I've told Google everywhere I am, it shows all of my links. So first of all there's LinkedIn, then there's Sue Ellson, then there's Anthill, Google+, so there's a couple of my posts, and Facebook and so on. So every single result on the page 1 of search is all my content. So it doesn't go off and show somebody else's profile, it shows my profile. Because I've told Google, here I am on all these places. even if you go to page 10 of search results, and I've not used this computer before, so I'm not doing any magic by doing this. That top one is my sister's website. Yes, I've been involved with the ECCV. That's my article that got retweeted, blah, blah, blah. So nearly all of those results, I was at the Educate Plus conference last year. I was on Business Essentials. Yeah, so that's page 10 of search results. I'm still turning up because I've told Google where I am. And you can do that through Google Plus. I bet you didn't expect to hear that today, did you? Okay, so if you create a Google Plus account and you sign in, this is what it's going to look like. So just think of Google Plus as Google's version of Facebook, right? So you have to be a person and there's a page. And the person on Google Plus is called Profile. So if you go to your left menu, you click on Profile. And under the About box, this is where you put all the links. So you go down here and you say, here I am on the internet. So there's my profile on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, blah, blah. And here I am also a contributor to Sue Ellson website, Newcomers Network, Global Mobility, Campbell Network, Open Forum, Career Work Life Group, Ruby Connection, Not So Freaky University, which is a crazy name, LinkedIn Pulse, Tiny Buddha, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as I start publishing more content on any other places, I put those links in there and it tells Google that's where I am. So does that look too difficult to fill in? Pretty easy? Okay, so that's your profile page. So, and then of course you fill in all the other boxes, you know, with the relevant information. So if you click on pages, this is where all those pages are. So I've got obviously pages for my other business enterprises, but we'll go to my Sue Ellson one. And here is your little dashboard. So there's where you can share a post. Here's your reviews, so I can go in and look at my reviews. So somebody was very smart. Susan. So have a look at this one. So here she is promoting her career development services on my profile. Isn't she clever? So what did she write? Let's go down. She's an outstanding career development professional, blah, blah, blah. But then I said I always respond. So I said, thanks Susan, it's always a pleasure to share information with someone who's willing to listen, but more importantly, take action. So if you get those Google reviews, you should always respond as well, even if you get a bad one. Some people say, oh, I don't want to Google reviews, what if somebody bags me? Well, if you went to a restaurant and they had 6 reviews and all of them were perfect 5 stars, would you believe them? No. So I don't worry about bad reviews. And I take personal responsibility. If I stuffed up, well, I've got to own it. So, you know, I don't worry. But I thought that was pretty smart of Susan to do a profile review on my profile. That's cute. Okay, so also, if you don't want to put your home address, you need to create a brand page. That's sort of a bit more technical, but anyway, I hate Google+. It just has terrible screens. All right. But here's my insights on my website, you know, my Google Analytics, you know, all of it's there. But if I went into my settings, I could actually change, and I can never remember where the stupid things are because they keep changing. I think it's under here, settings, yep. This is where you put all your notifications, but then there's also the other spot where you fill in all the details. I won't bother trying to find it, it's not essential, but when you fill it out, you'll get all the boxes to fill in. So where it says links to, contributor to, you just fill them all in again. So this is the page that pops up on the right-hand side of search results. So I have to be a person on Google Plus first, and then I have to create that page with my own name for it to come up on the right-hand side. And if your employer doesn't already have a Google Plus page, they should definitely get one as well. So I'll leave that open to sign in and ask any questions. Okay, so firstly what I want to say about LinkedIn is they keep changing the goalposts. Have you noticed that? They keep moving things around. And the problem is the platform becomes quite unstable when they make those changes. So if you're doing stuff on LinkedIn and it goes funny, just don't assume you did something wrong. It's probably the platform just playing up a bit. But here's some things that I do, first of all, before I start working with a client. So the first thing I do is get them to look at how many views they've had, and I've had 737 in the last 90 days. And I say, well, you know, let's write that number down because that's a real-time stat and we want to see how it grows over our time together. So we write that number down. Then I show them my favourite activity on LinkedIn, which is reverse stalking. Who's been looking at me? How many of these people here today? Okay. Now, I love it when people look at me. This guy here's a client of mine, because it tells me whether my profile's working for me or not. So if you've got a client and the only people who look at their profiles, their friends and family, it's not working for them. But if they're getting HR managers, recruiters, businesses in alignment with them, then it's working. So this is my favourite activity on LinkedIn. But the most popular activity on LinkedIn is at 9 o'clock at night on a tablet looking at other people's profiles. So there's a lot of stalkers out there, let me tell you. Not my favourite thing. But if you do want to stalk anonymously, I showed you this last year, you go under privacy and settings, and you re-enter your password. None of you can help me with that one. Okay, that must be caps lock or something on here. Alright, I'm not going to bother, but it's under the yellow box and in the middle, and it says select what others see when you've viewed their profile, and you make yourself anonymous, and then when you finish doing all your searching, you come back and you turn yourself back on, the top option. Now, I do not recommend this for stalking old girlfriends or boyfriends. That is a criminal offence, okay? It's to be used for legitimate business purposes. So if you're doing lots of searches on behalf of your clients, then obviously it may be more appropriate for you to go anonymous when you do that. So don't feel, oh, I should always tell people who I am. You don't have to if it's legitimate, okay? But bear in mind that if you start looking at people's profiles, this is a cool stat, 30% of them will look at you. So if you are trying to do business with certain people, or you want a job working for somewhere, start looking at people's profiles. There's a 30% chance they'll look at you. So again, for an introverted person, how cool is that? I don't even have to make a phone call. All I have to do is look at their profile, and there's a 30% chance they'll look back at me. How easy is that? Okay. The second thing I do with people is I ask them to save their profile to PDF, because you know what people are like. I really didn't like what Sue said. I want to go back to what I wrote before. But of course it's gone because you've changed the content. So if you go to profile and you do this drop-down box here, you can choose save to PDF. And then you can save a copy of your profile and have it, in the unlikely event LinkedIn goes poof overnight, you've got a copy of your whole profile. You can also save other people's profiles, print them out, check them out, see how it's changed, do updates throughout the client, you know, time frame, all that kind of stuff. What I also suggest that you do is you use LinkedIn in Google Chrome, and that you change the setting over here before you do this. You go to settings, and you go to advanced settings, and you choose, hang on, where is it? Ask where to save each file before downloading. So that means that the file won't just go into downloads, it will ask them where to save it. So then what they can do is when they save it, so I'll go back here and I'll now choose to save it. It says, where would you like to save it, right? And what I do is I tell them to put today's date back to front at the beginning of the file name. So that way we know that on the 8th of April, this is what the profile looked like. And now on the 8th of May, it looks like this, the 8th of June, you know, etc., etc. So if ever they want to go back to a previous version of their profile, they can do that. And that naming policy of the date, today's date back to front, works for heaps of stuff on your computer. So use that tool a lot. I use it for all my presentations, so that I can easily tell just by the file name when I spoke at that conference or when I spoke here. It's a really cool technique. The third thing that you do with them at the start of the process is download all their connections, because again, if LinkedIn went poof, you'd never be able to connect with all those people again. So you go to connections and you click on the cog, and you choose Export LinkedIn Connections. And whether it's a PC or a Mac, you always leave it that top choice, and you choose Export. You enter your number. I'm obviously not going to do this on this computer and give away my 6,500 people. But if I was going to, I would put today's date back to front here again, and I'd save it to maybe my LinkedIn folder on my computer. Okay? So they're the 3 things you should do before you start working on LinkedIn with any of your clients. Okay, now, in terms of the profile, if you haven't already, you should also, before you start any work, you should get them to turn off Notify Your Network. There used to be a book running in Melbourne, which CEO is going to get the sack next, all based on when they were updating their profile on LinkedIn, okay? Because it started sending out notifications. So obviously you turn that off as well before you start working on someone's profile. That setting is also under Privacy and Settings, over here, which we won't go to because I need my password, it's not working, called Turn Off Activity Broadcasts. So you can do it either way. You can do it through Privacy and Settings, or you can do it just by that little notification box, which is on the profile page. Okay, so I told you about those posts, and one of them I told you to look at was how to maximise your company profile, if you've got a company profile on there. But also, I told you that there's the one about profiling your membership. So, come on, scroll. Work. All right, we can just get it there. All right, so see more posts. So the beauty of publishing on LinkedIn is, I wrote that article on March the 2nd, and I've already had 355 people look at that article. Now you tell me, if you put something on your own website, would you get 355 people to look at it? Probably not. So if you scroll down here, you'll see how to showcase your professional membership. So that's the article I want you all your homework and to do. All right, I've got 2 minutes left. Who wants to ask the question in front of everybody? Yep.
I've got a lot of clients who don't want to put their photo up, and given what you said about people spending 20% of their time looking at the photo,
Yep.
you know, a lot of judgment around how people look and so on. What's your recommendations around that?
You must have a photo.
Yeah.
But if you're very private, you have to have something you feel comfortable with. So I'm going to show you the profile of one of my clients. And originally I suggested to her maybe she could have a photo with her dog, but she ended up with this photo where she's got sunglasses on and her hair across her face. So you can't really see her, but her photo matches her purpose. She wants to be an art. So they've just got to choose something they like. You know, the normal rules about looking at the camera and smiling with the teeth showing, having a light background, don't worry about all that, but get a photo up. If I did a search for career, let's try this one. Now, oh, this is good. Looks like you've all got your pictures up there. Right, so that's great. But what some people will do is they won't look at any of that information. They'll only look at the photo. Yep. So if there's no photo, they're not going to look. It's simply just going to eliminate them from search results. Yep. And also the photo has to look good at that smaller resolution. So who would pick Troy out of this lineup? Nobody? One? Who would pick Katie? Yep. Yeah, a few more. Lisa? Linda? What's good about Katie's shot? It's really clear, isn't it? Like, all you see is her face. You're not distracted by, you know, big earrings, floral top, you know, nothing. It's just there. The only problem is she's got a bit too much skin showing for my liking. I don't like bare arms, and I don't like seeing a neckline. I like to see something that covers the neck. So where the photo ends up, there's still a conclusion here. Because what that does is it drives the person to look at the face rather than to keep looking down and looking for the natural conclusion. And if a man's wearing an open neck shirt and he's got a few hairs, you do need to Photoshop those out, guys. I did have to make that request of a guy in Brisbane. An Irish guy. Yeah. One more? Yep.
So what is your recommendation about people? You talked about stalkers.
Yep.
But those who actually send a request
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know them from a bar or something,
Mm-hmm.
not even in a circle or a network or a connection.
Yep. Yeah, this is one of my most popular questions ever, which is cool because it's so popular I can answer it. It depends on your purpose. So my purpose is to run a network. So as long as they're not a terrorist and they're planning to shoot me, you know, I pretty much say yes. But I have started to be able to identify the guys who are going to connect with me. Oh, you've got beautiful eyes and a lovely smile and I'd really like to meet you. And I write back, I'm sorry, I'm only interested in LinkedIn for professional purposes. Oh, we can still be friends. And then I remove them. But you need to bear in mind that LinkedIn removes nuisances probably quicker than you will. So if you accidentally hit yes, don't panic. And also you can remove anybody, it won't notify them. And lastly, you can see all your previous invitations if you have deleted those people before. If you click on the mailbox, you can go into invitations for the current ones or archive for those ones that you might have previously deleted but might now decide you actually want to connect with them. Yeah. Am I getting the wrap or can I do one more?
Oh, one more, yes.
Yep.
One more.
Is there any value in upgrading to premium?
Right, perfect question. Not unless you've done the first three things I said before: keywords, frequency of keywords, and activity. Now, I tell my clients to do all of that first. Then I say try the 1 month free premium, but it's like a gym membership and I'm your mother. You must either go to the gym or quit, you know, the paying ongoing, okay? But during that 1 month, go like the clappers and do whatever you can. What premium will give you? You will come up higher in search results. You will be able to search everybody on LinkedIn, not just first and second level connections. You will get better analytics and be able to see who's viewed you for the last 90 days. So you'll see trends of what's happening. You will also get more data on how they found you. So that gives you more clues as to what to update. You will also be able to send emails directly to people who you don't know. There's a prestige value of I can afford premium, so therefore I'm a better quality candidate. And if they apply for a job or through LinkedIn, they will come up higher in the list of applicants who've applied for the job. One guy who took out premium, he went from 70 views in 90 days to 120 views in 90 days within 1 week. So yes, make your clients do all their work, but make sure they are ready when that 1 month free premium comes online to go like the clappers and help them understand it. I'm going to be here for the rest of today and tonight, so please just come up and ask me any question. No question is silly. Just remember that if you send me your details, I'm more than happy. I'm happy to answer questions via email too. So if you've got some question you can't find through the Help Centre on LinkedIn, by all means just email me. If I don't reply, I'm not ignoring you, I'm just busy. So just send me a reminder. But yeah, if you send me those details, it won't be tonight, but I will get you that information as well. So thanks a lot for joining us.